talk about debt. Let's talk about it. People don't like to hear that term, but I'm wondering, you know, should we think bad when we hear debt? Should we have that mindset? Or can debt really help us succeed?
This is a really good question, and I'm so glad you asked me this because whenever, especially us, when we hear debt, we instantly think, I don't want to owe nobody no money. Like, I think that's the first thing I hear when I'm talking to people about things like credit cards and loans. Debt in and of itself is not a bad thing. And I always use the same analogy when I talk about credit cards and stuff like that. You know, a credit card sitting on the table isn't going to hurt anybody. I always kind of attribute it to a gun. A gun on the table won't hurt anybody. But if you put a dangerous weapon in the hands of somebody who don't know what they're doing, that's when it becomes dangerous. And it's the same thing with debt. When you have debt and you have no idea how to manage your money, how are you going to be able to manage someone else's money? And so when you apply that concept to debt, that means that there are good debt and then there are bad debt. So you need to be able to differentiate between the two, but that all comes with educating yourselves. A lot of people get intimidated when it comes to finances because, you know, their parents didn't know and their grandparents didn't know. So they don't know and they think that that's okay because they're comfortable in it. The unknown is a very scary thing and people find solace in comfort. But the thing about it is the times are changing. The times are changing rapidly. The economy is changing rapidly. And so the things that our parents and our grandparents have passed down to us, though they help them survive, they're going to be holding us back. Yes. And so you really have to start doing the internet is everywhere. You have literally the power to launch a rocket in your pocket. Like there's no reason you don't have the knowledge. Debt can help you if used properly. You just got to know and do the research.
Yes, that's right. So speaking of debts, what are some bad debt examples that you have, some good debt examples? Because some people don't know the difference.
Bad debt is debt that is not helping you get to whatever your goal is. So, for example, a lot of people join these credit repair groups and they see somebody posting all these credit cards. You'll see the people with the giant stack of credit cards and they'll think to themselves, I need that. And so they'll start applying for everything they can get their hands on. That is considered bad debt because there's no purpose. The cards that you're getting serve no purpose. Everything in life has a purpose. And so that should apply to your credit cards. Your credit cards should be a stepping stone on the way to whatever the goal you set for yourself. So a home, a car, if you have a numerical credit score, that's your goal. You know, your cards should help you get there. Good debt is things that's going to improve your lifestyle. So let's say a car. For some people, getting a car opens up so many doors for them. They can go to school, they can get better jobs. You know what I'm saying? So a car can be considered good debt. Credit cards are actually really, really good debt when used properly. So this means only getting credit cards that you're actually going to use because they're only beneficial to you if you're actually using them. Assign a purpose to your credit cards. If this credit card gives you cash back for groceries, then that's what this credit card is for. If this credit card gives you cash back for gas, then that's what this credit card is for. This is our examples of good debt. But, you know, I really feel like that answer is different for everybody. But it all starts with sitting down and identifying what are your goals financially.
Yes. And we don't even plan our goals out. That's the thing. We're living day by day with no mission, right? And until we get that mission, we're not going to know why we're spending this on this card, why we're spending that on that card, or why we have these different loans. Because people think that a car is an asset, but in reality, it's a liability. But it can be used for good when, you know, it's used for your credit report, your credit history. Right.
You know, I think what the most damaging thing that I've heard, and I've talked about this on TikTok a couple of times, something that I hear in predominantly minority spaces, right, is that they were taught that credit cards are for emergencies only. And that worked for my mom and that worked for my grandma, and they bought their homes back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And so I'm going to continue to do so. And what I always tell people is I'm not saying your mama wrong, but I'm saying that does not apply to the time that we live in. Like you said, the concept of owing somebody for us is so strange and so like we don't like it. But the reason why is because, you know, for most Black people, our families weren't even introduced to things like credit cards and loans and things like that until 1974 when they passed the Civil Rights Act. So we're way behind the curve when it comes to financial literacy. And so back then for them, you also have to understand the times they were living in. They didn't trust any of the systems that were out there because all of the systems were designed for us to fail. They were designed to oppress us, and we didn't have the knowledge capable to manipulate that system to work for us. Right. So of course they're not going to use these credit cards until they absolutely positively have to. Yeah. But the way that the credit system is structured now, that's not the case anymore. But we have to be willing to kind of shed those stereotypes. We have to be able to shed those things that we learned, because yes, that helped them survive, but again, that's just going to be holding us back.
Yes, that's right, because we have to reshape our mindset. Like you said, we're late to the game, but just because we're slow towards that finish line doesn't mean that we can't make it there. We just got to reshape our mindsets and get away from, like you said, some of the traditions. Some traditions we can keep, only ones that's helping us and not keeping us further away from our goals. I totally agree.